The saddest declines in UFC. Guys, this is a pretty straightforward list. These are fighters that were once on the top of the game, best of the best. I'm talking GOAT status, and well, they declined, man. And it was a decline that made us all very sad to see. And shit, we're just going to get right into it. Now, I just want to preface by saying this as well. In no way, shape, or form is this video supposed to knock these fighters down or say that they're bad fighters or anything like that, okay? This is just simply analyzing and stating the facts that they were once up here and now they're down here, okay? So it's really nothing personal. I hope this just kind of doesn't really ruin my chances of like meeting these guys. And I still appreciate all their bodies of work, and I appreciate their careers. On top of that, I got a fucking new Destroy figure. Look at this shit, dude. This shit is tough, twin. Look at that. Anyways, that's it for Godzilla. Let's just get right into it. All right, now first starting off here, we got BJ Penn. BJ Penn, he's a 2-division champion. He's a former UFC welterweight champion and a former lightweight champion. He beat like elite level guys. We're talking like Matt Hughes when he knocked him out. We got like Matt Serra, Sean Shirk, Diego Sanchez, and which was like, I mean, that was a bloody fucking fight. And then you know, he had him beat Joe Stevenson for the lightweight title. It was a pretty, you know, he had a really impressive career even before he got to the MMA. He's nicknamed the Prodigy because, you know, he got his black belt in less than 3 years, which is a feat that is, you know, just really unheard of in general. On top of that, he was the first American to win the IBJJF, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Championships of the world. The first American to do it, you know what I mean? And he was really, really good, really ahead of his time. But this was kind of his downfall. This was what either took him out of the GOAT argument and really just marked kind of the beginning and end for his career. Was he stayed too long? That was really the biggest problem for him. But he also lost to higher level competition. Prime example, he fought George St. Pierre twice, even though the first one was a little, you know, first one was a split decision, you know, on George St. Pierre. The second one was much more definitive. Also, Matt Hughes beat him, you know, as well. You know, Jens Pulver beat him for the lightweight to become the inaugural lightweight champion. Frankie Edgar has also beaten him. I think like 3 times he beat BJ Penn. You know, Nick Diaz also beat BJ Penn. And ever since the Frankie Edgar loss, I mean, his career, it just took a complete downfall. I mean, he got that huge, giant mismatch that's infamous against Yair Rodriguez where he got knocked out brutally with a head kick in the second round. Absolutely crazy. And then he lost to Silva in his next fight, and then, you know, he gets submitted by Ryan Hall in his next fight, and then he, you know, loses to a decision, you know, against Clay Guida. His career took a rapid downfall. And on top of that, now the events that have been happening outside of the ring, where, you know, the amount of brain damage he's taken, it's really affected him on a severe level, where, you know, he can't, it's hard to function in his day-to-day life, you know, where his mom had to get a restraining order against him. You know, I don't, this is just my personal speculation. I think that there's some drugs that are involved, and it just looks like a very crazy situation that BJ Penn is caught up in now, considering where he was then. This guy was considered one of the GOATs. I mean, when him and GSP fought, this was like Marvin Hagler versus Thomas Earns. This was like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. We're talking like, you know, best of the best, like 2 of the best guys that this time period can produce. We're going to give it to him. And unfortunately, to go from that kind of height to now facing legal troubles, having restraining orders, getting arrested multiple times, and just losing the competition, which I'm going to be honest with you, Yair, I mean, first of all, BJ Penn was a fucking featherweight, okay? Let's get that down into order, okay? And second of all, Yair wouldn't beat BJ Penn if BJ was in his prime. And I know like a lot of you guys are going to go, oh my God, Bailey, you're an old head, or that's a hot take. It's not. It's just who's better, well-rounded on paper. It's just on paper, ability for ability. You know, BJ Penn has a little bit more. You know what I mean? Just a little bit more ability. So, yeah, there's BJ Penn. Moving on to the next one. This is a big one. We got Tony El Cucuy Ferguson. Tony Ferguson now is actually undefeated in boxing. He just won his last fight. You know, he's like Misfits champion, which is very, very cool to see. I'm not even going to lie. It's really awesome to see. But he was on a 12-fight win streak. One of the most, if not the most legendary, well-known fight win streak of all time. And that's really because Tony never won an undisputed title. I mean, he beat guys like Donald Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, Rafael dos Anjos, Edson Barboza, Michael Johnson. Like, those are just some of the top guys that he's beat. Just the pressure with the elbows, the Imanari rolls, just all these weapons, all these different kind of looks that he gives people. It's crazy, but it's what worked, and it's what made him the best. And then he ended his career on an 8-fight losing streak. And it all started when, well, I'm not even going to lie, he had to cut weight twice in 1 month just to fight Justin Gaethje. He was originally supposed to fight Khabib, didn't work out. And yeah, I mean, then he was rebooked for an interim title fight against Justin Gaethje. And it was brutal. I mean, Justin Gaethje was all gas, no breaks in that fight, but he's very tactical as well. Like it was a methodical beatdown. And if you haven't watched that fight, I'm not gonna lie, dude, it's pretty fucking horrifying. Like just the noises and hearing like Tony just like, just getting hit over and over again with no crowd. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little haunting. It's a little haunting, you know, I must admit. Then it just kind of spiraled down from there. I mean, Charles Oliveira beat him, you know, then you had like Michael Chandler knock him out with that front Spartan kick right to the face, and then you had like Paddy Pimblett beat him, and just it was all these things, just one after the other, where he was just losing to all these guys who, in my opinion, otherwise would not have beaten him in his prime. He was supposed to fight Khabib 7 times, you know what I mean? It's known as one of the unluckiest super fights that was never made. It kind of all is well ends well, and in my opinion, he probably got the best ending to, you know, out of anybody here, really, you know, because he's a champion now in Misfits and boxing. He's kind of got his own thing going on. So there you go. Next one here, and I don't even know if he's active or not, but I don't really care. We got Conor McGregor. We got the notorious Conor McGregor. Prime Conor McGregor was different, you know what I mean? And I don't mean to sound like those guys, like maybe I'm Unk. Maybe I was like, you know, because I was alive watching him come up, and he was different. I mean, his mindset was completely different than the ones around him. You know, the pay-per-view buys and draws were different than what everyone else was drawing around him. His feats of achievement were just different than anything else anyone around him was doing at the time. He was UFC's first ever double champion. I mean, he knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds in the first round after playing mind games after mind games after mind games and torturing him for months, just all over the world. And then he took that momentum, moved up to the lightweight division, and he fought and knocked out Eddie Alvarez. I mean, just completely outclassed him, outstruck him, just everything, and did what he did. And that was very different. No one else did anything like that at the time. And I mean, just the absolute names and bodies he was catching, like when he was in his prime, it was just awesome to see. I mean, he was beating guys like Dustin Poirier, Jose Aldo, Eddie Alvarez. I mean, and there was, you know, there was more guys that he could have fought and stayed in there until he fought Floyd Mayweather. This is what a lot of MMA fans associate his downfall with. And the fame in the headlines, it got to him. It did get to him because he got a lot of money. And once he got a lot of money, you know, he came back and he fought in like this tune-up fight against Cerrone, which was like a huge mismatch. And it really didn't go anywhere. And then McGregor comes back to fight Dustin Poirier, and then he gets knocked out, and then he gets his leg snapped in the third fight. It was one thing after the other. And then you had the Ultimate Fighter with Michael Chandler, and then that fight fell through in my opinion, because Conor probably wasn't clean. He probably was not clean. And it was just one thing after the other. I would be very surprised if Conor McGregor ever steps into any competitive space again, much less an octagon. I would be very surprised. And it is disappointing to see, because the man that was once in his prime, he would hate how he is now. Like, Conor McGregor would look at how he is today in the Big 26, and he would be like, what the fuck? Like, where have I gone wrong? Like, you know what I mean? Next, we got Anderson the Spider Silva. There's no way I can have any kind of list of talking about downfalls without talking about Anderson Silva. He has the OG longest UFC win streak at 16. Islam's tied now with it. Absolute insane feat to pull off. He beat, you know, elite levels of competition at the time. He beat guys like Dan Henderson, Nate Marquardt, Rich Franklin twice, who's a former middleweight champion, Forrest Griffin, who's also a former light heavyweight champion, and Chael Sonnen twice. And the first fight was really, really good. I mean, and he was very, very ahead of his time. I mean, he made things look easy. Like, especially his fight with Forrest Griffin, he made that fight look easy. Like, just barely slipping and weaving out the way of the punches and just knocking him down. Just really doing whatever he wanted to Forrest Griffin. It was kind of crazy to watch. But then came Chris Weidman. Anderson Silva versus Chris Weidman won. Anderson Silva got a little too big for his britches. He starts taunting, leaning back, pretending he's hurt, and then boom, boom. Chris Weidman clips him, knocks him out, knocks him down, finishes the job. It was all over. We have a new middleweight champion. And this was crazy at the time because, well, I mean, like, fuck. I mean, we witnessed someone who was unbeatable, like literally unbeatable. when he came in and debuted, you know what I mean, and fucked up Chris Lieben, you know what I mean, who at the time was known as like the most durable guy, you know, Frankenstein, hard hitter. He destroyed Chris Lieben, like absolutely destroyed him. So he went from that to this, you know what I mean? And we're just like, what the hell? And then the second fight came where Anderson Silva broke his leg against Chris Weidman. So then that knocked him out of the title picture. You know what I mean? That knocked him out of there for a while, and he was never the same. He started losing to guys like Jared Cannonier, you know what I mean? Like the passing of the torch to Israel Adesanya, which the reason why I put quotes around it is because I'm going to be real. It almost seemed like the torch was just taken. Like Silva was too old. There was nothing he could have done to beat Israel Adesanya. He was in his prime. Like Adesanya was in his absolute prime. Like no one in that era was able to beat him anyway. So it's tough to say that was like a genuine, authentic, like, you know, like the only guy he beat after he lost to Chris Weidman was Nick Diaz. After that, he lost, 8 fights, ended up getting released from the UFC. But he also had a boxing match against Tyron Woodley, and he knocked out Tyron Woodley. So, he might get his get back against Chris Weidman in a boxing match. We'll see. But overall, it's tough to really have him high up in the GOAT conversation when he's lost so many times. You know what I mean? I know it's like in the latter half of his career, but it's just tough to say. You know what I mean? It is tough to say. Now, I don't want to say that he's like on a downfall that's the same as these guys, but the reason why I put him here, like, kind of like last to talk about, is because he is in the twilight of his career. He is in that zone where he will either fall off horribly, even worse, or he will just kind of continue to stay in this like contender zone, top 5 zone, right? You have Israel Adesanya. He's debatably the middleweight GOAT, right? He's probably second to Silva in all reality, right? The win streak of Anderson Silva, the dominance. Adesanya didn't quite measure and replicate that, but I think you could make a debate for him being the GOAT just off the simple fact he was lapping competition. I mean, where Silva beat some of these guys once, Adesanya was beating these guys twice. I mean, he knocked out Whitaker in a real banger fight in the first one, beat him in a real close decision in the second, beat Marvin Vettori 2 times, made him an unknown after that. Marvin was completely irrelevant after those 2 fights. You know what I mean? He finished Paulo Costa in the first fight, beat him in the second. Also, the only guy to knock out Alex Pereira. I mean, he knocked him out cold and sent him packing out the middleweight division. You know what I mean? But then you had his fight against Sean Strickland, where the right hand from Sean literally changed everything. Adesanya just was not the same. And I'm going to be honest with you, I felt like he gave everything he had in those Pereira fights. I think he gave everything spiritually. I think he gave everything physically, mentally, just everything. Like anything that there was to give, he gave it in his Pereira fight. And you could see after he got rocked against Strickland, Adesanya was like, man, what the fuck am I doing? Like, do I really need to get hit? Do I really need to get rocked? And that's what it looked like. It looked like Adesanya was just kind of, just like dejected, just like kind of resigning in the fact that he got hurt and he's going to lose. And then you had his fight against DDP, Dricus du Plessis, for the title. And it was a very competitive fight, and he was winning a little bit. I thought, and he turns his back, DDP climbs up, and he gets the choke and gets it, right? So now you got Adesanya where I don't know if he's going to be in the title picture again, right? I mean, he's on there, like, where you can't really make that strong of an argument for him, especially then after where he fought Nasruddin Imavov. Nasruddin Imavov snipes him. I mean, knocks him out, drops him. And now he's in this position today, right? Where we're sitting here and we're going, look, you can fight at a high level. We understand that. I don't think he's going to be going up. I don't think, like, for example, like, it's not going to get easier, right? Like, there's going to be guys like Anthony Hernandez. There's going to be guys like Michael Venom Page. There's going to be some guys who are hungry, who are going to want that spot. And I don't know if Adesanya can physically keep up with it anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, I feel like you have a punch card. You have a certain amount of hits you can take and a certain amount of punishment you can take. And the way he got dropped with a Imavov was crazy. And I don't know. I just think that Adesanya, he needs to kind of switch up his game a little bit in order to adapt. Maybe not fight based off of reflexes anymore and start fighting a little bit more, what's the word? Like, mix things up, right? Like, you're the style bender, right? You're not just a kickboxer anymore. So this downfall is definitely, it's definitely rough to see. All right, guys. So that is it for my video of the saddest declines or downfalls in the UFC. Now, there's probably many more fighters that I've missed or did not talk about. And don't worry, I'll make another video. If you guys want me to, I'll gladly make another one. Leave down in the comments below, like, what you guys think. You know what I mean? Fighters that you're kind of sad to see that declined or their career just didn't really end the way you wanted it to. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Wherever, make one. Peace.